White Bear Lake first responders are connecting with the community big time. We'll show you why cops, kids, and parents are all gathering together this summer.
Australians are riveted by the death of one of their own here in Minnesota, and their view of America may surprise you. We'll talk with an officer who has a unique perspective on the topic.
Welcome to this edition of Lake Area Beat. I'm Trace Minarchuk, and look who's back.
Yes.
Oh, Ron Hawkins, you're
thought
back.
maybe you didn't even notice I was gone last episode.
No, I don't think anybody did.
Oh, okay.
I'm just kidding. Yes, we missed having you here. It's been a busy summer, that's why, isn't it?
Yes, very
We've had
busy.
a busy summer.
Mm-hmm.
We've been very busy at the police department doing lots of stuff that we're going to talk about today.
Yes, I see that.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
The case of Justine Damon has dominated international news since she was shot and killed last month by a Minneapolis police officer.
New Zealand native and White Bear Lake police officer Nathan Hook has talked with relatives back home and in Australia about the case, and he brings a unique perspective about Australians' perception of America.
So I'm holding this handgun in class, and I'm suddenly aware of, this was kind of scary. Even though it wasn't loaded, I'm like, I'm going to be shooting this thing.
Growing up in New Zealand, White Bear Lake police officer Nathan Hook never handled a handgun before police training. Possession of handguns among New Zealanders, even police, is uncommon.
To see weapons and to have access to weapons for people from that part of the world, it's peculiar, it's strange, and it's part of that kind of Wild West kind of feel almost, that, Americans are just obsessed with guns.
Officer Hook grew comfortable handling a gun during training, but understands the reaction Australians have to the gun laws in America. And when a Minneapolis police officer shot and killed Australian native Justine Damon, he says family members back home express fear of traveling to the United States.
He was concerned about coming to the States out of concern over some of these recent shootings that we've had, that law enforcement in this country are a threat to the general public. That's a perception now that's gone beyond, certain sections of our community to an international kind of perception.
Hook believes there's a lot of work that needs to be done between law enforcement and the public in light of recent events. He says tools like social media and gatherings like this recent public safety night at Market Fest are helpful.
If we stop talking to each other, we're in a big problem, and hopefully we're not at that stage yet where we can't continue, to sit down and talk about what's going on around us.
He cautions people not to rush to judgment concerning these cases and says he's never met a cop who looks forward to being involved in a shooting.
I know people want answers immediately and stuff like that, and they want instant gratification. That's not going to happen if you expect it to also be thorough.
This summer, White Bear Lake Public Safety has been connecting with the community in lots of ways. And when it comes to kids, what better way to get them excited about safety than by what you're about to see?
Here's a look at Public Safety Night at Market Fest.
First time we've been here, and I've been begging him to come for a while, and I think it was either you or Kurt that got
Kurt and Dale.
start building relationships with kids at a young age, and we hope that when they're older, they remember all the connections and the good times they had meeting us, and we build trust. That's our goal.
Lots of kids and lots of adults who said, "Oh, I can have a s'more too." So, ready?
Taste is nice.
It's communication. It's just talking and showing that these police officers, these great White Bear Lake Police Department, are actual people. They're the people that have their own families, their own concerns, their own stuff that they can share too, and kind of very humanize the police department.
He knows why we're here. We're here to meet people, and that's what we're here to do.
And he likes it.
He does. He actually does like it, because he gets to be petted by a lot of different people.
Hey, Weston, come on, otherwise the police are going to take you away.
Oh, look at these boots. Did you like them? Look at this.
Weston, say thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have
I
to say
will
thank
do
you
it.
for your service. I mean, obviously, as you stated, it's probably harder than it's ever been. So it's a public service that probably goes underappreciated. So it is good to get to see them out here and thank them for their service.
Well, that was sure fun. We missed you, but the fire department had some great things.
There's a lot of fun things it looked like.
Yes, the s'mores. That was a big hit, actually, from the fire department, and the car.
They did the vehicle extrication, yep. And then on the police
the
side.
Bouncy, we had face painting and a game of bags, and we were just kind of all milling around. And it was fun to see. We had a lot of police officers there with families, with their families, not just the community, but we brought our families out. And
sounds like a great party. Let's do it again next week.
Oh, wait a minute, we are. And then we're done for the season, but we still have so many different police events coming up. And we hope everybody will be there.
Yes.
We're going to take a break, but first, Sergeant John Betty has a little help from a friend in this segment.
Our pets are friends to us. Be a friend to your pet. I'm Sergeant John Vetty with my friend Gladys here, reminding you to protect your pet from dangerous weather conditions during the summer months. Summer can be uncomfortable and dangerous for dogs. Never leave them in a parked car, not even for a minute. On an 85-degree day, the inside of a car with open windows can reach 102 degrees in 10 minutes. Dogs can suffer irreversible organ damage or die. Limit their exercise on hot days and avoid asphalt. Anytime your pet is outside, make sure they're protected from the heat and the sun. Always have plenty of fresh, cold water available. Watch for signs of heat stroke. Some signs include difficulty breathing, heavy panting, glazed eyes, lack of coordination, profuse salivation, and seizures. Check out more ways to keep your pet healthy and happy on our Facebook page. Our pets can't care for themselves. It's up to us to treat them and keep them safe. Gladys agrees. I'm Sergeant John Vetty. We'll see you next time.
What story got you most out of your comfort zone? I know there have been a few.
You know what? Talking about myself. That is most out of my comfort zone. It's just telling private things. That's not something we do as police officers. We don't share.
Well, you've learned to share well. Way to go. I think for me is when we do the person on the street segment, we've had a couple of those segments, and it's just being real spontaneous, I think, has taken me out of my comfort zone. I'm not...
Hasn't that been your idea, though?
Yeah, well, yeah. But you never know how people are going to react. And then when they react, it's like you need to react. And then you think later on in the day, I'm thinking, ooh, I should have said this, or oh, I could have said this, or this would have been funny. So anyways,
You're not spontaneously funny.
No.
Extra DWI enforcement is now being served on Minnesota roads. Getting busted will cost you thousands. Don't be what you drink.
60 pedestrians were killed on Minnesota roads last year. That's the highest number since 1991.
White Bear Lake Police are enforcing city crosswalks and ticketing drivers. Officer John Sanders is here to explain crosswalk laws and why you should be obeying them. Officer Sanders, thanks for being here.
Absolutely, thanks for having me.
Well, it's his first time here.
Yes, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So what do we do when it's the first time?
Well, you got to tell us a little bit about you and tell us about how you got on the police department.
Well, I was born and raised here in White Bear Lake, went to White Bear High School, and started as a community service officer in 2004. Did the roles of community service officer, reserve officer, dispatcher, and was lucky enough to get hired at 21 years old. And so this is my 10th year as an officer.
Wow, that's incredible.
I know. Good for you.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So Crosswalk Safety, tell us kind of how about that came about. How did the White Bear Police Department decide to do this initiative?
And talk about your background with the crosswalks, because you've been involved with it for a while now.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ramsey County has a traffic safety initiative, and I'm the liaison for the White Bear Lake Police Department. So I work with our agency, and we work with the other agencies in Ramsey County. The St. Paul Police Department 2 years ago started a Stop For Me campaign. And what this campaign is it's an awareness for pedestrians and crosswalks and an enforcement to try to make crosswalks safer for pedestrians to cross. So the city of St. Paul has worked with the agencies in Ramsey County to do enforcements at various crosswalks. And I started helping them 2 years ago. And
outside of White Bear Lake?
In St. Paul, yep.
Okay.
In St. Paul. And this past summer, I came up with the idea of why can't we bring this to White Bear Lake? We have crosswalks here. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful community. A lot of people walk, bike, and spend time crossing roadways. And so I figured let's bring this to White Bear and make it a safer place for pedestrians to get across the roadway.
And what a great idea, because we do have so many pedestrians, especially in the downtown area, but in areas where you may not expect it to, right?
Sure.
So tell us, we did see some footage of the initiative and how that went, but maybe you can just kind of give us an overview of actually how that happened.
Sure. So I'll start with the crosswalk law. The state statute 16921 about pedestrians states that anytime there's no pedestrian signal or traffic light or stop sign present, the pedestrian has the right of way in a crosswalk, whether it's marked or unmarked. The biggest thing with a lot of drivers is they don't realize that every intersection in the state of Minnesota is essentially a crosswalk. They can't paint every intersection for obvious reasons with funding, and so the laws are written that every intersection is a crosswalk. Whenever you see a pedestrian that wants to cross the roadway, it's your duty as a driver of a motor vehicle to slow down and stop for them so they can safely get across the roadway. Here in White Bear, we started this campaign a week ago, and what we did is we worked a couple of our officers with the St. Paul Police Department, and they came up and helped us with this joint initiative. And we picked 3 intersections in the city where I feel we've had a lot of complaints through citizens, where we've had pedestrians struck in crosswalks in our past here in White Bear, and we did the enforcement efforts. So during these enforcement efforts, we used the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration guidelines for pedestrian enforcement. So there's a set distance that we use in a 30-mile-an-hour stretch, a 35-mile-an-hour stretch, a 40-mile-an-hour stretch. They're where they deem that when a driver is approaching an intersection and they see a crosswalk, that distance is the safe distance for them to recognize the pedestrian and come to a stop. The reason we follow these guidelines is we don't want cars approaching the intersection, slamming on their brakes, having a rear end collision.
You don't want people darting out into traffic that
Yep.
we're working with.
Correct,
Yeah.
yep. So what we do is it's a two-part education. We're trying to educate pedestrians and we're trying to educate the drivers. The pedestrians, we're telling them, step 1 foot into the roadway where it's safe, make eye contact with the driver, and then when it's safe to do so, proceed. And on the driver end of it, recognize that there's crosswalks at every intersection, scan for these pedestrians, and safely stop for them to cross the road. And then do not proceed until they have passed the lane of traffic that you are trying to go through.
And I think that's where it gets tricky for citizens and drivers. As citizens, I've seen some citizens just go marching right through the street without even turning their head.
Correct, and that's illegal. That's jaywalking too. If you're not in a crosswalk, you can't just cross the road wherever you want to. You do have to either come to an intersection or a marked crosswalk. It's safer for you that way to do so. But you also, when you do approach the crosswalk, don't just run out and expect the drivers to stop, because you don't know what they're doing. There are a lot of distractions nowadays. People have cell phones, people aren't paying attention. You want to make sure that you get across the road safely.
And then for the drivers, the pedestrian needs to be in or starting to make a motion into the crosswalk, not just standing on the corner.
Correct.
Looking around,
Yep.
right?
So, I mean, if people are standing in the corner, you don't know if they're waiting for the bus, if they're waiting for their friend, if they're just watching traffic or enjoying the day.
Right.
You do have to make the initiative to step into the roadway, make eye contact. That always helps. And that shows the driver, hey, I want to get across the road safely.
So to wrap up, was it successful, and are you having any additional?
So we did it last week, the initiative on Monday. We had 4 officers doing the enforcement. We made 45 total traffic stops at those 3 intersections. 40 citations were issued and 5 warnings were issued.
And the citations, it's a misdemeanor violation, which is higher than some of the traffic laws, which are petty misdemeanors,
Correct.
right?
Yep, it is a misdemeanor, and they deemed it to be a misdemeanor because it is endangering the life of the pedestrian by not stopping for them. So.
Right, so we're going to have more, and we're going to do it near beginning of school so that people are more aware of school crossing. And
Exactly, we have 4 more events lined up right before Labor Day, right before the school year starts. And
so slow down.
Slow down, stop for pedestrians, and make White Bear a safer place.
Everybody should pay attention, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here, and thank you so much for
My
bringing
pleasure.
this to White Bear.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
thank you.
Thanks. Well, the White Bear Lake PD sure knows how to please a crowd.
We hope so.
And check out what brought hundreds. Would you say hundreds?
It was pretty close. We count the
Thousands?
little people. No, just hundreds.
Yeah, so it was a sunny Friday morning.
Coffee with cops, yeah.
There's a certain irony in officers serving donuts to build public relations.
Good morning.
A tactic learned by the lighter side of the law rather than the grittier one.
Everybody likes donuts.
And at a time when a surplus of police news divides the public, there was no shortage of support among White Bear Lake residents.
And I'm in service, working in the schools. You don't get paid big bucks, and they are always risking their lives. And I just really appreciate that.
Thank you. Have fun down here, and I have fun down here, and I like this place.
And they give donuts.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Well, I would say thank you for all the service that you guys do. We really appreciate it.
The stream was steady from start to finish, and refills were made to satisfy big bites in small packages. Proof that nothing brings people together better than a little slice of sweetness.
Awesome.
Bye. Okay, see you later.
We actually went through so many donuts and coffee. We ran out of coffee, ran out of donuts, and the chief and I think the captain went over and bought more donuts.
Oh,
So,
wow.
it was a
There's
good
nothing
thing.
wrong with that.
I
Sounds
know,
like
it
a
was
great showing.
It was
Awesome.
wonderful. Yep. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll talk about international relations with a member of the fire department when we return. We're continuing our challenge coverage with EMS manager Matt Boothlet. Only in our next segment, it's more of a conversation about international relations than a challenge, even though I won.
Well, I'm intrigued. Let's find out about that.
So I've been waiting a long time for this challenge. Thank you. I think one of the reasons why it's been such a long time is you're not really up for being on camera.
Yes.
One of us is going to pick a piece of paper, and I've got some questions for you, and you're going to try to guess what accent I'm using.
All right.
So I don't know if I can do this. This is the challenge. This is the challenge part. Oh boy.
I'm quite the world traveler, so.
Okay, and then we'll throw it away when we're done with it, because we don't want that one again. Yo, so where'd you grow up then, Matt?
Really?
Really? Bro?
I don't know what particular region that accent would be associated with.
So where'd you grow up, Matt?
This is fun. I'm just gonna keep asking you dumb questions and making
You know what?
do
I'm gonna
this.
make you talk like this.
Not a chance.
Matt, can I get a hoagie?
Oh, I
on my
see.
pizza?
We're going New York City here?
There you go. You
Wow,
got it.
yeah, definitely Manhattan. That's nice.
All right, I think it's your turn.
And I feel free. It's the way you make me feel.
I grew up about 2 miles
West of here?
west of this park, right by Lincoln Elementary. In fact, that was my elementary school. So Podman Park was my old stomping ground.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So a White Bear, born and raised, and only difference is now I live on the other side of the lake.
Where it's apparently
Due
cooler.
east, it is apparently much cooler over there
On the
today. There's
east
no
side of the
sun, it's all woods. But I still associate myself as a White Bear guy.
All right, I'm gonna ask you a question and answer it in your accent. You ready?
Yeah.
Where is your favorite travel destination?
My favorite travel destination, buddy. Well, I've been to this place a couple times, Go up there and get some maple syrup on my French fries, maybe a little bit of gravy.
Canada?
Yeah! They don't really talk like this in Canada.
A.
But they do put A at the end of everything. Stop at a Tim Hortons or something. Canada's not my favorite travel destination, by the way. Mrs. EMS manager and I went to Germany earlier this year, and that was a blast. Ireland, the homeland, was a good time too. And I'm still trying to figure out what's next on the bucket list. So maybe Alaska.
Was that on your bucket list or both you and your wife?
My loving wife puts up with a lot, as you can imagine, and her bucket list is very, very similar to mine. I don't think it was before we met, but it is now. So got to give her credit for that.
Well, that's a good woman then to keep.
As long as she'll have me.
One place you've been that you need never return. Let me say that again in my crikey bloke accent. Watch out for that stingray.
Oh, you sound just like Steve Irwin. That was amazing.
Thanks.
That was amazing. Can't we get Officer Hook down here? He can do it.
Well,
probably.
He's not from there.
Close enough.
Close. I could call you a Dolly Bird, but that's a girl name, not a boy name. I'm trying to channel my inner Officer Hook.
I'm going to use some ESPN here and say this is Australian. Am
You're
I
right.
Oh,
you're
my
right.
goodness.
Oh, you're so good.
Yeah.
You're good at this. What's one place you've been that you would never return?
Work. No, I'm just joking. I love my job.
He's not coming back.
I do.
He's by the lake, and this is where he's going to be for the rest of the day.
Ellen, if you're watching, you didn't see that answer.
No.
You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
Wife and I went up to Montreal right before we got married, and our car was broken into. Our passports were stolen. It's a beautiful city, don't get me wrong. I'd like to go back, but it left a really bitter taste in the mouth. There's nothing more fun than going to the consulate and trying to beg your way back into America.
That's not good to get your stuff stolen when you're out of the country.
That town will forever have a cloud above it for me, unfortunately. Oh my goodness.
Are you ready? I'm gonna ask you a question. Most unusual place you've ever been?
The most unusual place I've ever been. In an accent, no less.
In an accent.
Oh boy. I'd have a hard enough time answering this question in English, to be honest. Camping underneath a bridge in New York City for not one ski night or 2 ski nights, but 3 ski nights. And we drank some adult beverages under said bridge, but this was legitimate camping. We were not homeless. And my accent just changed, so I thought that changed.
I don't know if this is Italian or
It was very similar to your accent earlier. It was at least in that city.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Jersey?
Do the 1 ski, 2 ski, 3 ski. You got it. No? Oh, that's my running joke. See, Russians, they always put ski after everything, right? Because that's a very naive Midwestern way of thinking of how they speak.
Well, we've just insulted all the Russians.
Yeah, sorry. When we move patients from bed to bed, we always count to 3 because people are heavy and we don't want anybody to get hurt. But counting to 3 got really boring after a few years, so we always found ways to spice it up.
So you use accents?
Yeah, so I would do the, all right, let's do this one in Russian, and 1 ski, 2 ski, 3 ski, and we move the patient over, and that was all fun and games, and the patients got a kick out of it until at one time I met a Russian nurse who looked at me with this just stern look and said, "Not funny." How was I to know?
Well, on that note, this challenge is over, and I think you lost.
Thank goodness.
That was funny. That was really funny.
We are not good at that.
Are you sure this is your regular accent? Because That
was totally not good. Before we go, we'd like to congratulate Eric Gadboy for being recognized as a DWI Enforcer All-Star. He was honored at a recent Twins game for his outstanding record of DWI arrests. He made 42 in 2016.
Thanks to Eric for keeping our roads and residents safe. Well done. And thank you for watching. We will see you next time.
I always want to do what was it, Wayne's World? Sibilance.
Okay.
I like
rolling.
Man. How now, brown cow?
Yeah.
How now, brown cow?
You rolling on that one?
We see on SCC Government, for example, the great shows from the police department itself, and that's certainly important too. So you get to see those officers like you see on TV, and then you come here, and I believe I saw Officer Malarchuk earlier. You get to see these officers here in person.
Oh, it's 147 miles on my odometer. It's an MS 150, so I got to go back and do 3 more miles. Just kidding.
Everything hurts.
But my butt is so sore. It hurts so much to sit on that bike seat. But yeah, I think we're good.